Hi, boys and girls. Okay, so day 3, virtual first grade. So I'm at school, so our little classroom looks differently, and I've tried this. This is my 3rd time to try this today, so hopefully it's gonna work. All right, so first of all, Super Kid Workbook. I'm gonna go and get that and turn to page 72. Okay. So on this page, you can see it on the board, it says that we're going to finish the sentences by choosing the correct sound to finish the word so that it makes sense in the sentence. So if you look at number 1, this is Cass talking, and she says, when does the party blank? And the word begins with ST, sta, and you choose R or or. So is it starry or story? Oh, I'm sorry. It's going to start. I'm sorry. This is 3 times I've done this. I'm telling you, I'm frustrated. When does the party start? Not stort. Okay, so we're choosing the AR. All right, number 2. Will it be cold and blank in the tent? So it starts with D. We choose AR or OR, so it's going to be dark or dork. I think you know. All right, number 3, Cass. Do you know a blank to tell before bed? This is the ST. Starry or story? No such thing as a starry that would be spelled that way. Okay, number 4, Lily again says, what will we do if a blank comes? Starts with ST, ends with M. Storm or storm? Storm. Number 5, Cass says, what should we bring to the blank? Starts with a P, ends with TY. Party or porty? No such thing as a porty, right? Okay, so that's all for the Super Kids page today. It's just page 72. Your other assignment for Super Kids is to get the reader and read Slumber Party again. You read it to yourself in your mind. You can read it out loud. You can read it to your brother, sister, mama, daddy, grandma, grandpa, dog, cat, whatever way you want to read it. But we will talk about the lasting lesson, which is what we normally do after we finish the story for the 2nd time. And this one is about fears. So talking about fears in the story, Lily doesn't tell her friends that she's afraid of the dark, does she? That she's scared. So she ends up going to the party, and then after the scary story, she has to tell everybody, oh, I'm afraid of the dark. And, you know, that kind of probably is a little bit embarrassing, and that's probably why people don't like to talk about their fears, right? They don't want to be made fun of or laughed at. So everybody has something they're afraid of, and when I was a little girl, I was afraid of the dark. I had to have a night light or the bathroom light on. So, and even as a grown-up, I'm afraid. I don't like lizards and frogs and snakes. Those are not my favorite things. So that doesn't make me a baby. Those are something I'm scared of, right? So the important thing is how you handle your fear and how you are when you are talking with friends about their fears, so you would know not to make fun of them, right? You wouldn't make fun of a friend, or you're a baby because you're afraid of the dark. We wouldn't say that. And luckily for Lily, her friends were nice to her about it, and they try to help her feel better by saying, hey, look at the stars, it's pretty. And they're nice to look at, and that'll make you feel better. So they were good friends to Lily about it, not mean friends. All right, so that's all your Super Kid workbook, but we're going to work on dictation. So if you have your journal at home, you can use this for your paper. Get this and a pencil or some kind of paper and pencil, and we're going to do the dictation part. So, and we're also going to look at some words that have the OR sound, the OR sound. So let me change the computer screen. Okay, here we go. So the first word is short, short. So I'm going to change the screen, and you're going to be watching the word as it changes. It's going to keep the OR sound in the middle. So short to fort, fork, cork, cord, corn, corner. All right, now for dictation. All right, so for number one, your word is
short. It can be hard to play basketball if you are short. Short.
short. Number two,
Sport. Basketball is a fun sport. Sport.
okay, sport. Number three,
Fort. You can build a fort out of blankets. Fort. Fork. Set each place with a fork, knife, and spoon. Fork.
that was number four, fork. And here are your words, short, sport, fort, fork. And here's your sentence.
We both like corn.
Listen again.
We both like corn.
Okay, the sentence says we both like corn. And that's what it looks like. We both like corn. Okay, so make sure you copy all that down, especially the sentence, because we both like corn will be on the dictation part of your spelling test on Friday. Okay, so that's dictation for today. All right, so now we're going to get our Go Math book. So if you can real quickly get your Go Math book and turn to page 731, we're going to do the review for your Go Math test. And this is the very last thing to do in Go Math. So number one, the question is, which shapes have only 3 sides? Super easy. That's a baby question, right? We know triangles have 3 sides. Number 2, circle the number that makes the sentence true. A rectangle has blank vertices. Vertices are corners. That's just a big word for corners. We know that the sides of a shape is also the same number of its corners. So rectangles have 4 sides and 4 vertices or corners. All right, number 3 is how many trapezoids make a hexagon. So if you think about that in your mind, like how could I turn those trapezoids to make a hexagon, you can see that there's 2. You drew a line right through the middle, there's one on the top and one on the bottom. So it says draw those blocks you use. So all you're going to do is just draw another hexagon the best you can, and then draw a line right there. And so the answer is 2 hexagons. Okay? All right, next page. All right, this one at the top says, circle the 2 shapes that can combine to make this new shape. So this is easy. All you're gonna do is draw a line right here, and you can see this shape, and then this shape is a rectangle. So just thinking in your mind what that looks like. All right, next part. So this is a long question. It's got several parts to it. Number 5. Okay, so all right. Using those little parts that look kind of like a piece of a pie, you're going to make a circle with that, right? So how many of those will make a circle? So step 1 is to use those 2 to make a half circle. So you can see if I drew a line here, I'd have this and this, and that gives me 2. Then I use 2 half circles to make a whole circle. So there's my 2 halves. So I'll draw another line here. 1, 2, 3, 4 of those make the whole circle. All right, which is larger, a quarter or the whole? So drawing it bigger right here. Here's a whole circle. And if I drew lines right there, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it has quarters, 4 quarters, right? 1/4 of that is a quarter of that part. So is that bigger or the whole thing? Well, of course it's the whole. The whole of something is always bigger than its part or parts. Okay, so next page. All right, it says to use 4 pattern blocks to make the shape. Draw the blocks that you used. So we've got this funny shape over here. So I'm going to start by drawing a line right here. And that's going to give me 2 parts, right? But it asked me for 4. It says make this into 4 parts. That's just 2. So that's not the right answer. So what I can do is think about in my mind how I could make those other 2 shapes into each of them have 2 parts, right? So I'm going to draw a line right here. And so I'm going to make this bottom part, which is a rhombus, into 2 parts, which are 2 triangles. So now I have 1, 2, 3 pieces, but that's still not enough. It says 4. So I'm going to draw a line here and give myself another triangle and a rhombus. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 parts, which is what it asked me to do, to show 4 blocks inside the shape. Okay? So that's all I have to do on the test tomorrow. All right, number 7, draw a line to show the parts. Show 2 rectangles. Okay, so in this square, which is turned on its side like a diamond shape, so if I did it this way, is that right? Does that show 2 triangles? Or 2, that shows 2 triangles. It says 2 rectangles, so this isn't right. Okay, this isn't right either. That's also 2 rectangles. So the right way is if I do it either like this, that shows 2 rectangles, or this. Either way, it's both 2 rectangles, so that's the right way. All right, number 8, does the shape show equal shares? So what you think about with that is equal meaning both or all the parts are the same. So if you're sharing with a friend, then you want the parts to be the same. So the first one, if you look at it, it's got big, little, big, little. So those aren't showing equal shares, so that's no. Look at this one. This has 1 rectangle made into 2 little rectangles, and they are the same, so that's yes, they're equal. And this circle has 2 parts the same, so if I folded them on each other, I can see that the parts are the same, so it's yes. So equal means the same. All right, next page. Going on to number 9. All right, and it says to circle the shapes that show halves. So halves are 2 parts that are the same, remember. If you have anything that's divided into half, it has 2 parts just the same. So this one has 2 parts, but the 2 parts aren't the same, so that isn't right. The second one is a circle with a line of symmetry, and its parts are the same, so that does show halves. This shape, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're not the same, so that's not right. This one is a circle. It is divided into 2 pieces, but the 2 pieces are not the same, so that is not half. So the only one that's half is this one. All right, next we have this orange rectangle, and it says draw lines to show fourths. All right, 2 ways. actually 3 ways to do this. One is this giant X. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's one way. Alright, next is a line down the middle, a line of symmetry, and then another line down the middle of this, and another line here. Makes it have 1, 2, 3, 4 parts the same. Or a line of symmetry right down the middle this way, and this way. Makes it have 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. Okay, so that's 3 different ways. Alright, so this question has more parts to it, so let's scroll down. Alright, how many equal shares did you draw? So when we was made into fourths, so I'm going to go back and do this again. It has 4 parts that are equal. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many halves can you show in a rectangle? Right? That's trying to be tricky because it was just saying fourths. But half is 2. Always 2. 2 parts just the same. So a rectangle can be made, if it's being chopped in half, it's going to have 2 parts. So the answer is 2. How can we solve it in a different way? All I'm doing is drawing another rectangle the best I can. And then remember I showed you 3 ways actually. That's one way. Just show me a different way now. Go do this way. That's one way. Right? Or I can make my lines going the other way. So it would look like this also. Okay? So any of those right. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but as best you can, make it where the 4 parts look about the same. Okay? So that's that. So that's all, and that's the end of the Go Math book. So tomorrow is the test, which I'll email to your parents, and we'll go from there on that. Okay? So short lesson for today. So while we're in here, I'm going to take you over to the calendar. So here's our calendar now. And you can notice now that it says April instead of March. So tomorrow, which is, if you're watching this on Wednesday, it'll be today, is Wednesday, April 1st, 2020. So something I told you about is that it's April Fool's Day. And you can play a trick on people, like a little nice trick, not a mean trick, by saying like, oh, look, your shoe's untied. April Fools, or, you know, something nice, not mean. Don't do mean tricks, but that's kind of a fun thing to do. Oh, hey, you got something on your shirt. Oh, April Fools. All right, boys and girls, I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.